on mute. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, and yes, welcome to 2024. Welcome to 2024. We is here, right now. And if you haven't checked us out before, this is Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and LaLa at our new time, Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So a little bit, the only thing that's changed is the time. Everything else, and wow, hey, welcome to the Fly Nubian Queen family, because I already see there's already a whole pile of people that have piled in. So, as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem. My name is Dr. Vibe. I'm based here in Toronto. I'm a two-time Canadian Ethnic Media Association Award winner. And I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And in 2023, 2022, and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 dads and fathers around the world. And you know what? I did win an award. This is one of the awards I won. Just want to prove it, people. I just want to make sure. I like to not only talk the talk, walk the walk, etc., etc. So want to say welcome to everyone who's watching live on the replay. This is going to be good. This is going to be good. So let's bring up the real stars of our epic conversations. Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key. What's going on, ladies?
Happy New Year!
Yeah, we is here, right now. Welcome, everybody. What's been going on? Happy New Year to both of you. What's been going on?
Oh, I have so much rest. I had so much rest and so much fun. And it was nice to just breathe for a minute and to just take some time to be grateful about things that are around me. I think sometimes we get so heavy that we forget to be grateful for the things that we have in our lives. And so I really took the time to do that.
Nice. What was one highlight from your holiday?
Just spending it with family, I think. My sister had been sick over the holiday, so she got better like right before. So we all just kind of camped out at my mom's house, Christmas Eve, and then New Year's Eve, which we do every year at my mom's. Just everybody just kind of spends the night there because nobody goes out, and you don't want to drink and drive, and so we all just cook dinner, have appetizers, and we did a 80s film fest. So
what was one of the films?
We watched The Last Dragon.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah, and Moving with Richard Pryor.
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
We had announcements of 2 new babies in our family. So 2 of my nieces are expecting, and that is a beautiful thing.
Is that the one that got married recently? One of them?
Yes.
Nice.
She said they wanted to wait. Well, they didn't wait.
Sometimes it just happens that way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next subject, please. Thank you. Let's before we go any further, always please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, join the Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and LaLa. I got to change it to Saturday, not Saturday. Saturday Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, make sure you check out the Primetime Saturday store. Got lots of products going on there. And also, if you wanted to advertise your product, business, or service on any of the platforms that I host, please feel free to do that. Email me again, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And there's another more announcements. Hit the Patreon channel. So, Aisha, you are the driver. Tell what people get when they join the Patreon channel.
Well, now that it's set up and we've posted some videos, LaLa and I do a 10 and 10 every week where we post the 10 minutes of the 10 topics that we talk about on our Discord. But on Patreon, you get to see the full discussion. It's usually about an hour and 15 minutes. So that's extra content from us every week. And we have some, we get to cover the things that we don't get to cover on Saturday, and some other stories that we're watching, things that are interesting that we've heard about that people might not know about. Putting up some polls. I'm going to put up some special merchandise just for the Patreon soon. And we're going to start adding some blogs and all kinds of things. And you can also get access to all the articles that LaLa and I do, you source for our 10 and 10. So people can go and read those things for themselves. So it's really a way to just stay engaged all week long. And until the next show.
Excellent. So Fitness IQ Cam says, hola. Yes, KSF. I almost forgot. KSF EYL RWFQ. I almost forgot that for a second. Happy New Year to you also. And you know what? Your ears must have been ringing, JJ Mars. I had mentioned your name before we went live, and here you are. And because I know you, and thank you for taking time out of your positive productive schedule. You jump in during the morning vibe at times, and I appreciate that. So thank you so much. And yeah, so any visions for 2024 that either one of you have?
Well, I didn't set out making resolutions this year. I only made one, and it wasn't like any kind of self-improvement. I just decided that I'm going to spend this year re-listening to Stevie Wonder's full catalog from start to finish.
Whoa, come on.
Because there are things that songs you've known all along when you were a kid. There's better context when you're older.
Yes.
When you listen to it, and then it triggers memories. And then also too, there are certain things you hear differently. So I decided I was going to go back and do that for the year.
It's interesting. And whenever I do that with an album that I haven't listened to a long time, I always hear new things, especially if I'm listening to it on headphones. I go, wow, I didn't know that. Didn't know that. But Stevie Wonder, wow. Did you ever see him live? Either one of you?
No, I have not.
Never seen him live. But I've heard about it. He's performed at the casinos here, and they always show the clips on the news and stuff. And so the concert always looks really good. But my parents did go see him in the 80s. And I remember that night that they went to see him because they brought back the billfold.
I remember seeing him many, many years ago. And the first thing I said after I came out was genius. That's all I said. That's what I said. Genius. I just went, wow, 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 wow. So also in, and a bunch of people here. JJ Mars, Stevie is a classic act. And you know what's interesting? He is still alive. All these other people, he outlived Prince.
Oh, yeah.
He outlived Michael Jackson. He's outlived all these individuals.
Well, I got something else for you to consider. I don't think people don't ever consider this because he's always been around, it feels like. But they talk about child stars growing up and having issues. And people were talking like about Michael Jackson having to grow up in that lifestyle. People forget Stevie Wonder did his first album at 10.
Yes.
So
yes.
For someone to have been able to stay out of the nonsense and mess of the industry and have a career that lasts that long, that is very rare, no matter what form of art that they're involved in. And so people really do forget that was that he was a child prodigy and star. And
little Stevie Wonder. Yep.
And the funny thing is that Berry Gordy didn't even want him to sing at first, just play the harmonica because he didn't like his singing voice.
Wow.
But then Fingertips came out, and that
changed everything.
That changed everything.
All right. So we got some other friends in the house. So I just saw my co-host on the Morning Vibe on Monday and Friday mornings, 9 a.m. Ryan Knight, greetings. What is going on?
Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
And also There she is, the host of Media Scope, the livest conversation about media, tech, and pop culture online. It's on sabbatical for until February because she's got so many other things going on. But Dr. Tachi is in the house, and Dr. Tachi, again, if you want to come on, even if your camera's off, just message me on YouTube in the comments, and I'll send you the link. DM you because we always have and make room for you whenever you have time to join the conversation. Also, Fitness IQ is shocked. Stevie Wonder, 10 years old? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. 10 years old. And
with his mother as his manager.
Yes.
There you go.
And people don't talk about that.
I think that's the other reason too that he was able to stay on the straight and narrow because she had his back the whole time. And Stevie Wonder, but the contract she signed him to was a 10-year contract, so a 11-year contract. So when he was done at 21, he left Motown. He threatened to leave Motown. He's actually the only artist who has never left Motown.
That's true.
He's still He's still on it to this day. But he was like, yeah, I think I might go somewhere else. And at that time, they gave him the biggest recording contract in the industry for 1972, and it was $13 million. And that's when we got the classic era of Stevie Wonder, where it was album back to back to back to back.
Yeah, that's, and Aisha, I just piggyback on there. There's about 5 albums in a row that Stevie did. Mm-hmm. Just my opinion, can't be touched musically.
Yes, 1972 to 1976. Yeah,
just flowed. Just all of them flowed.
Like next level. Like
they wanted him to slow down, but they were just coming out of him like that. So they wanted him to slow down.
And he got a Grammy every year for them. The only time he didn't get a Grammy was the year that he didn't produce an album. And so it's one of those things where you have to recognize, greatness when it's here and not when it's gone. And also too, it means a lot when you have to go back and look at who your favorites are. Mm-hmm. You can't listen to Prince, for example, and dislike Stevie Wonder. That's insane to me.
Right.
That is insane to me. And if you do, you need your ears cleaned out. But yeah, you get to learn all the different tricks and things like that. Like, for example, that little Camille voice that Prince does. Well, Stevie Wonder did that in Maybe Your Baby in 1972. That's where it comes from. And then you want to know even further how we know this is true. Well, Stevie Wonder and Prince performed a version of that song together, and Prince did the very high voice.
So J.J. Mars, yes, a musical genius, absolutely. J.J. Mars also says Stevie and Ray Charles are both great musical talents, but Ray lived a wild life.
Yeah.
And then Regina, welcome back. Well, welcome you back, Regina. Thanks for kicking it up with us. So new conversation for a new year, and it's been 3 weeks since we've done anything live. And big shout out to all the subscribers of Fly Nubian Queen. You went in and watched some of our replays, and we appreciate that and don't take it for granted. We appreciate your support. Huge time. But new year, stories galore, especially even just during a normal year time when we're not around for a week or two, but it's been compounded over the last few weeks. So that's why you got to go subscribe to Patreon, because there's stuff we're not going to get to here that both Aisha and LaLa are going to get to. But let's start off with our first story. Well, in America, it's an anniversary. I don't know if it's a good anniversary, but the anniversary of the January 6th uprising and where American democracy stands. Ladies, kick it off.
Well, to honor January 6th, Joe Biden gave a really good speech yesterday. I think it was one of the better speeches that he's ever done on this subject. He really just went for the jugular and called people out. But it's a shame. 3 years later, and more than half the country thinks it was a setup. That to me does not make sense. We saw it with our own eyes, but it tells you how powerful the propaganda echo chamber is on the right. It's like if they say it long enough, it becomes the only thing that people see. But it's what you do in cults. It's also a form of brainwashing. So you're telling people that what they saw was out of context, that the context was that was peaceful. And they were justified, and they are doing their Kellyanne Conway alternative facts and trying to get us to believe that we didn't see something that we saw. The horror of what you saw that day should always stick with you, because I remember my first thought watching it, I was like, these people are crazy. And then my second thought was, I'm glad I don't see any Black people.
Yeah, I cried. I cried when it happened. I could not believe my eyes. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime. I know that things are crazy. I know that there's so much separation, but the sheer disregard and the sheer hatred that went on that day made me sick to my stomach. I cried. And it was interesting because we had an office meeting that day, and I walked in, and that's the first thing I said, how could they do this to our country? And I just busted out in tears. And at the time, most of the people in the office didn't even know what was going on. So we ended up watching it. And the sheer horridness of it all, the fact that they were looking to hurt and harm, kill and maim, and now we're supposed to believe that that didn't happen, is pretty disgusting. And the fact that Three Toes, Marjorie, wanted to do a celebratory thing for this down in Florida is sickening to me. It still shows you that they don't care. They are always going to stand on the side of for them. They're to me, they're anti-American. Okay, they're terrorists. It's a terrorist group. That's what you are. You're a terrorist group, and you want to celebrate what happened to our country on the day. Well, they had it all scheduled. They had done it at a hotel. They were going to have a convention to celebrate this day, and she was going to be the guest speaker. And the facility found out, because they kind of didn't tell the facility what it was going to be.
They said it was a book signing.
Yeah, a book signing. And once the facility found out that that's what it was going to be, they canceled it immediately. But there's no shame in their game. They still don't see anything wrong with it. And we are in danger. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson. We have been in this mode for what? Ever since Trump even opened his mouth to be in politics.
Yeah, you know, the scary part too is that I don't understand how they can sit here and say it was peaceful. They were scaling the walls. They were scaling the side of the building, carrying these huge Trump flags that they were trying to put on top of the Capitol building.
Smashing windows, looking for certain people, carrying nooses. Come on.
Relieving themselves in the chamber. Just horrific things. And then these people have the nerve, the absolute nerve, to refer to Black and brown people as animals. That was a freaking barnyard.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me just jump in. Got some comments here. Ryan Knight saying, wow, it's been 3 years. And then JJ Marr says there were a handful of Black folks who joined these terrorists.
Oh yeah, no. What I was thinking when I said that was because I knew that there would be immediate bloodshed if those were Black people. And that's why I was like, I'm glad it's not this, because automatically there's no reason as to why any of those people should have went home.
Yeah.
So JJ Mars also says they wanted to kill the VP and members of Congress.
Yeah. And it's sad because the Republican members of Congress, they were trying to kill you too.
I know it.
How are you defending this?
That's what's crazy. They were after you. After you, and you still trying to stand up for this?
So let me ask, it's been 3 years. Is America better 3 years after?
No. Are we any worse right now? Where worse could be what could possibly happen in November. Right now, we're just maintaining.
Yes.
And that is the problem, is that we shouldn't have to, pray that our democracy holds or just try to maintain the status quo so that it doesn't get worse. We should be confident enough to know that as citizens of this country, when we have a free and fair election, that people can accept. You don't have to necessarily like it, but you can accept the fact that this is the president. I honestly in 2016 was like, I cannot believe this man won. I cannot believe this man won. But it never occurred to me to go and rally at people to go take down the Capitol to make them put in Hillary Clinton. It was just like, this is how it happens. And, we're going to have to buckle up and live with it. And so,
oh boy, have we buckled up and are living with it. I mean, this has just been atrocious. We are such a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. And the party of law and order was completely in chaos and lawless that day. The party that backs the blue, they were beating them up. Come on. Yep. I'm so tired of Republican hypocrisy.
I am. I'm over it.
And stick to it.
They're just, like I said, they're imploding. They're imploding themselves. I mean, that it's amazing to sit back and watch them fight like crabs in a bucket. Nobody can get above each other. They got to pull each other down. It's who can one up the next one, and that's what they're all about. While the country's not getting anything done at all.
Nothing.
Well, so then let's ask then, and I just got some more comments going here. Dr. Tachi saying, yes, they were anti-government all the way around. Regina says, and then 45 blame Antifa and BLM face fuchsia wide eyes. And
you can't have it both ways. It can't be the FBI and Black Lives Matter and Antifa, but then the people who are arrested are hostages. You can't have it both ways. Which was it? So you're upset that those people, come on, and it tells you how little they know about how we operate on the left, because Antifa is not a party. Antifa is not a movement. It's just people who stand against fascism. It's a principle, it's an idea. It's not a group. Antifa is not MAGA, and then they're trying to make it their opposite equivalent, but it's not. And and blaming Black Lives Matter, well, we know that a whole bunch of the riots that started over in 2020 were started by Trump people who came to create chaos,
and was proven.
They were
So they always like to say prove it. Well, yeah, we got proof. We caught you. And LA in particular, when we were going through all that stuff, we watched them come and put certain things in certain areas of the city so that they could just come and grab it and blame Black Lives Matter. It was so clear. We saw it on video. We saw it on the news. I saw it with my own eyes. So no, you're not going to blame us for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it just, I'm glad that Joe Biden's making the democracy argument. Clearly, the economy and all those things weren't working. I think the best case of action is for him to hammer democracy as the talking points on his end. Let Kamala Harris deal with the issue of choice, and then let his surrogates in Congress and in state races talk about the economy.
I agree.
Okay, so got some more comments. Dr. Tachi says the Republicans are controlled by the most extreme faction. The Republicans.
I just love your analogies because that is perfect.
The Republicans.
I've heard that before, and I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being extreme fascism and 10 being great democracy, where is America on that scale with each of one of you on January 6th, 2024, 3 years after the January 6th insurrection, sorry.
I think we're at a 5. And the reason I say that is because we can go in either direction. It's going to depend what happens in November. So ask that question again, December 31st of this year, because I think that if Democrats don't show up and we don't get our people out, I don't think people are scared enough of what Trump can do. Honestly, yes. I don't think they are. The fact that, I'm appalled at the number of young people who go on TikTok talking about they're not voting because they don't like Joe Biden. You know what? The reason that Republicans are able to retain power is because their people fall in line. Am I saying that you shouldn't stand up for what you believe? No, absolutely not. But don't be a dumbass and say that you're going to not vote and you're just going to sit out. And then you'll be the first ones complaining, oh, my student loans, oh, the opportunities, oh my God, there's no, yeah, voting does that. Voting does that. And even if you take issue with what's at the top of the ballot this year in being a general and the president, all those other down ballot races, the opportunities that are available, whether or not your zip code gets X amount of funds, those people in your state houses are running too. So, I just think it's really horrible that they're making these videos about how they're not going to vote. And it's kind of like people have selective memory. Did they forget how bad it was under Trump the first time? You think that was bad? He's telling us right now he's going to fire all of the civil servants and replace them with people who are loyal to him. When you do that, first of all, that's a whole lot of government jobs that go away for a lot of people. But then when you do that, you can't get it back. So have your objections to how Biden does anything. Yeah.
Well, Aisha has a little more faith than I do because I give it a 4. Honestly, we are really going downhill because you see people's wants to be right or want to be a part of this imaginary thing that they have with Trump is stronger than their love of our country. When you have people who want their own agenda to be before our own country, you have a problem. And I don't have any faith in them. I was one of the first people who said, did that just happen? When Trump won the first time, I couldn't absolutely believe it. And you can't tell me he thought he was going to win. Honestly, I think Trump was just as surprised when he found out that he won. And ever since then, he saw the power that he could grab. And the people who love that, who people thrust that kind of person in front of them, they don't care. They have no self-respect for themselves because they let this man talk about them any old way. They let him take his money. You got women running around talking about tramp stamp and Trump stamp and baby me and grab my pee and all this stuff. When you don't have respect for your own self, you don't have respect for our country. We're already on that down decline. So I'm being conservative by saying 4.
Well, though, I have to say this. These people don't realize that it comes down to one thing for Trump. All of this started because he wanted to get back at Barack Obama for clowning him at the press corps dinner in 2015. This is what this is about, okay? Vengeance. And how do we know this? Because Barack Obama is living rent-free in his head, and every time he needs to talk about Joe Biden, he says Obama. So we know this is what this is. If he is doing all of this for that one piece of revenge, imagine what he's going to do if he gets elected again and he has even more people that he wants to seek revenge on. I would not be surprised if he started taking Democratic members of Congress and sending them to Guantanamo Bay.
Well, he did say,
I wouldn't put it past him.
But he did say that just in a recent interview that if he gets elected, he's going to pardon or release anyone that's been convicted in the January 6th insurrection. So that's certainly on the block. So I'm sure,
But see, the thing of it is, and this tells you how dumb he is and how much he does not know. We've discussed this before in other shows in the past that, maybe he was a secret genius. No, the man is classically dumb because he believes that if he can get his people to do what it is that he wants, he's scot-free on everything else. He really believes that. And there is no deliberate part of that, because the fact that what you just said about him pardoning the January 6th people, he doesn't realize that they can't vote for him. They're felons.
Nope.
They cannot vote. So you're pandering to them for what?
Woo!
Well, he is, though, interesting. Both you said a few minutes ago, both
he just says anything he wants to. That's all. He just says anything and he believes it in his own head.
Well, both of you were talking about, I think Aisha was saying, especially that Democrats got to show up at the polls. Well, I heard a clip from 45 today or yesterday saying he wants Republicans to get out to the polls. So he knows that it isn't a sure thing for him winning. So when he's saying we got to get out to the polls, something's up. So before we go any further, just want to catch up with some comments. JJ Mars saying a lot of history is repeating. Germany's brown shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Chachi says exactly. Republicans will vote along party lines all the time. She also says the GOP is a party above Republic every time.
Mm-hmm.
Regina says, so I think Biden will stay but by a slim margin. We do have to get the vote out, though. So she's speaking from a Republican and I'm a Democratic base, correct me. And then the majority of U.S. voters are registered independents, 40%. That is interesting.
Honestly, I don't think that's true. And the reason I say that is because whenever they report those stats, you got to remember they're asking only a certain amount of people based on who is registered to vote in a primary. So you have to register with a party in order to vote in certain primaries. But remember, a lot of people skip primary elections because they just can't get the time off or whatever. But that is, I think that when they take that information just from the people who registered as a certain party person, that's how they come up with those numbers. But the other problem is we've got a lot of states that you don't have to be registered to any party to vote in a primary.
Okay.
Like I think Maine is one of those states where people can vote in Democrats can vote in the Republican primary. You don't have to be a Republican to do that.
Okay. I missed one or two comments from the Cesar Remy, who is with me many a Sunday on Black Canada Talking at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, another conversation I host, says love and support. Great topic, sister and brother. And Cesar, if you ever want to jump in on one of the Saturday night conversations, would love to have you on. So that invite is out right there. Let's see. We also have here, I got to catch it. Lots of comments going on. Oh, Regina also said earlier on, I do not trust polls, though the Republican voters are 23.83% of registered U.S. voters, and 1/3 believe Biden's presidency is illegitimate. So that means about 10% of independents are 45 supporters. And what else?
And I don't trust people who always say that they're independent. 9 times out of 10, when you probe them about their beliefs on things, they lean conservative.
They fall on one side, yeah.
And new person we haven't seen before, IPV ADDT says, understanding that felons, they only want a pardon or to get out of prison. Remember, freedom is priceless.
But they still wouldn't be able to vote for him. That's because they'd still be in prison at the time of the election, and so they wouldn't get out until after. But remember, voting is how you vote and everything. That's a state issue. So your state determines whether or not you can get back on the rolls and how. He can't control that.
Okay. Regina says also all polls done by landline. Only 25% of us use landlines. Now, have an interesting comment here from Paul. Paul says, name one pale racist crime bill 45 placed into law through Congress. Name one. I'm waiting.
Well, Paul, if you know so much, why don't you do it?
Okay.
Don't come here and play. We're not with the game.
We're waiting for your answer too.
All right. So January 6th, we're moving in now into an election year, and we'll see. IPV ADT says, saying that to say many folks, especially Hollywood folks, take up for him, like his stance, or will look to try and vote for him as they don't want to face time. Okay. And then Paul responded back to her. She says, I don't have to.
Then why
we don't either.
Exactly. Why are you here? This is our show. We can talk about what we're going to talk about.
Troll on.
All right. So let's move on to our next conversation piece. And what conversation has been the fire?
Sorry. Dude is still talking.
Okay.
So, we knew he was voting for Trump. It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, no.
That doesn't hurt my feelings.
Me either.
Okay. So, just continuing on. Cesar says, thanks. Noted. Biden won by 7 million votes in 2020. 4 years later, demographic issues of new voters tend to favor the left Democrat, but social issues, be they about abortion or wokeness, immigration, can split as mobilize people to vote.
Yeah, but I think the challenge with this particular election is that last election there was just one thing that people were concerned about, and that was preserving the democracy and making sure Donald Trump didn't get in. Now there's that, but then there are also all these other issues that are part of the dominoes falling that were left by Trump. And so these issues like choice and like immigration and all of these things are going to be they're going to have an impact on how people vote. The thing about Democrats is that unlike Republicans, we're not single issue voters.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, as I was saying, what conversation has blown up online over the last week? So if you're not online, you may not have heard about, but if you have heard online, Shannon Sharpe's interview of Cat Williams. Now, family, last I checked just recently, it has over 15 million views on YouTube. So, what do either one of you ladies have to say about this, any aspect of this interview? One thing I will say, it's interesting. We can get 15 million views of something like this, but when we talk about Black economics, it's a struggle to get 2 or 3 million. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Well, okay. Full disclosure, I wasn't feeling this topic, but mostly because I watched it and I'm kind of like, I don't understand why it got that many views and why it was that explosive. He's not saying things that he hasn't said before in other venues. First of all, that's that. He's calling people out, but then there was some hypocrisy there with how he talked about Ricky Smiley, but then said he put in his contract that he has to degrade Ricky Smiley, right? So that there was that. But then I was kind of like, Hollywood is what it is with Black people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I take issue with us trying to tear each other down because what the executives see. I have a friend trying to get this Tammy Terrell movie done for almost 15 years now, and I can tell you this: it is very hard to get Hollywood to put finances and money behind Black films and to pay Black actors. So when they see this kind of chaos, it doesn't make them open the doors anymore. It just makes them say, you know what? I think that this is too much drama. And so we're not going to put our money to it. And so the films that need to get made don't get made. So, I mean, I get that, he was sitting there waiting to talk. But to me, it really is a non-factor. Considering there's so many other things going on right now, that 24 million people paid attention to this.
Yeah. But people like mess. People like mess.
Right. And not the fact that the Supreme Court just took away another piece of women's reproductive rights. It's ridiculous.
Well,
I don't like let me be clear. I'm not a fan of any of the actors he named or Cat Williams himself. So to me, it was like, okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm just on the wrong side of everybody on this one, because for some reason I found it a little liberating. I know we have all of these other things going on, but sometimes I just feel like truth needs to be spoken. Now, I know Cat can be over the top. That's his thing. But you have to remember, he came on because it was kind of a rebuttal of what was going on, what happened on another show. Right. So he came on to speak his truth in Cat's way. I think I am so hard on comedy, y'all. It's so funny. I am a fun-loving person, but my husband cracks up at me because he's like, baby, you don't even crack a joke, do you? I mean, like, I go to these comedy shows and I'm like, it's not funny. So when I do find somebody who's funny, which to me, he's funny, it's interesting how I can relate to him. But I think Cat's telling the truth and he's exposing things. Now, let's face it, there's a lot of things being exposed, period, all across the whole board of everything, in politics, in what we're going to talk about later, in entertainment, and how we're not getting paid the way that we should be paid. That's all wrapped in. I think this is a time of us seeing the inside and no more of the magical imagination. And I say that because I did work in Hollywood with a lot of people who were purchasing real estate. And I'm going to tell you that a lot of the times people who are doing all this big name talking and acting, and you think that they're owning a lot of money, which he did address in this interview, they roll up in Rolls Royces, but they have no money.
Yeah.
Okay. None. This we're gonna get this is, and I love how you're bringing in the economic aspect. So let's just catch up here. So IPV ADT.
Before you do that, just one quick thing about what LaLa said. I get what you're saying, but the hypocrisy of it is that he sat there talking about men can't get roles unless they're in a dress. Cat, you can't get a role unless you're playing a pimp. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear, because that's all.
Okay. So just to catch up, IPVADT says now it has 24 million views. And he also says, because it was all in one sitting down and you can tell Cat was waiting to speak his truth. Ryan says, agreed. He has been saying this for a long time. It makes you wonder why lies need to be told. Regina says, thank you, Aisha. We had to deal with the Chris Rock, Will Smith debacle. So what is Cat hoping to achieve? People addicted to messy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan says, I think that was his point. Cesar says, time and time again, I keep saying it, entertainment is the number one cancer of the Black psyche. It will and keeps mobilizing as distracting our people for far more than issues about our dignity, solidarity, and empowerment. Nothing versus Cat, but it reeks of barrel.
Crabs
in a barrel of crabs. Black will never be in the barrel. Society of systemic oppression and white supremacy, leading to such rivalries among ego complexes. Good commentary.
That was really good. That's a nice comment. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Ryan says the interview is entertaining, though. We must also remember he is a comedian, but we're good at entertainment. And
he's also a loose cannon, because remember he beat up a 7th grader.
Okay, and
oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Cesar says should not would. IPVADC says, do we hold our tongues and reserve our comments because it's not our community who holds the cards when it's time to make a movie in Hollywood? Let's be honest. Black people are only 3 to 5% of the industry.
Then we also cannot complain when they don't make our films.
Right. And then Regina says the 7th grader beat him up.
Well, yeah.
Beat up him.
Exactly. But he tried to instigate it, right? So it's like, here's the thing. You're whoever said it before, people are addicted to messy. Yes, they are addicted to messy. And I think that's why this is so popular. But we have to remember that he was trying to be messy.
Messy gets attention.
But he was being messy on purpose. And so in telling his truth, he also came there to be messy. And, put it this way, it did what it's supposed to do for him.
Yeah.
He's probably got a couple scripts on his doorstep right now.
So Regina goes, ouch, to some of the comments. And then also we have Paul. Paul says, ask yourselves, why would Hollywood seek men to play women's
Paul,
roles?
can you please stop commenting? My God.
All right. So Fitness IQ says, but did the seventh grader deserve it? LOL. Look, Regina says, I love Ludacris, and those who played the game are much richer than Cat.
I mean, that's with everything, that's with everything. Even when you look at the music business, if Taylor Swift wasn't playing the game, she wouldn't be where she is. So there is something that people do sacrifice when they play the game. Talent is also always the first thing that you sacrifice. But, like when you made the point about Kevin Hart, I agree. I don't like Kevin Hart. I don't think Kevin Hart is funny.
No, I've never thought Kevin Hart was funny.
I just think he's short. I don't think he's funny at all.
Ooh, ouch.
I told you I'm hard on comedians. So for somebody to make me really laugh like that, they have to be really good. So I just, Kevin Hart has never been that for me. But let's give him a little bit of credit, okay? Because listen, I always like to try to take a positive with the negative or whatever. There were some people that Kat did call out for doing good in the community. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to forget that he also did call them out. They're not going to get that attention because people want to focus on the negative. But he did call out some people he feels are doing good and bringing other people in. And there have also been some other comedians that have come out that Kat has brought along with him and have brought receipts that said, he put extra money in my hand when he didn't have to. So not everybody is going to agree with what he said, but I also do want to make sure that you point out that he did have some good things to say about certain people, which I do like as well.
Well, I appreciate the fact that he uplifted Mark Curry and told what Mark Curry had been doing behind the scenes that people wouldn't notice. And I didn't think of it until he said it, that yes, the Steve Harvey Show was hanging with Mr. Cooper of the 2000s. And,
yes, it was.
And also what he said about Bernie Mac, because I don't think that comedians now talk about Bernie Mac the way that they should and put respect on his name. So I did appreciate those things, but I believe that there was, he did have a point in being there, not just to rebut, but I mean, the way that he explained himself, you could tell he's a very strategic dude when it comes to his career. So to say that he didn't plan to go out there with barrels, blazing is impractical. I think that he knew what he was going to do. But the other side of it too is that he was ready for the blowback if there was any.
Oh yeah. Now that's one thing. Cat will take blowback. He will. He does stand on that. He does not, he doesn't wince and he doesn't mince. That's what I say. No wincing and no mincing. Cat's just who he is.
Okay. All right. Let's see if there are any more comments about this conversation. Okay. IPV8DDT says, old story that come out with something else. How many times should he be harmed? Fitness IQ goes, cognac makes you so brave. Okay.
I wouldn't know dark liquor, right? That dark liquor is what? Truth serum?
Yeah. Regina says, when Prince stopped playing the game, he lost money too.
Yeah.
IPVT says it right. And let's remember, Cat Gas pulled up many and has supported in the background without folks knowing anything. Shout out to Jen Myers. What is up? And then IPV ADDT says, Cat stands on business, true king of comedy.
Yeah. But I hope that, he mentioned the thing about range. I hope that he gets other offers so we could see his range.
Yes. Because he has financed his own stuff. Like, Cat has financed a lot of his own stuff. So.
But, I want to revert back to that comment Cesar made about the crabs in the barrel. This is great example of that. Because
Yeah,
all the people mentioned that they're all competing against each other. And the funny thing is, it's an industry that people like us don't control. So they're just, those who have control over it are just looking to say, hey, this is great. This is going to make us more money than the people that it really is impacting.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I do want to see him do something other than play a pimp in a movie. Or be the comedic relief, because remember, Jamie Foxx started out as a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
And now he does nothing but either action or drama.
And good ones. His last ones have been so good.
Yeah, and these are things that back in the 90s when he was on In Living Color, we never would have thought that he would have that kind of range, but it took getting an opportunity. And so I really, really hope that Cat Williams gets those opportunities, because I think that he has more to offer
than what we've seen.
Than what we see. And I hope that those opportunities open up for him.
Okay, so IPV says Cat stands on business, true king of comedy. Also says, and truly that's probably the best thing to finance your own stuff, as no one has control over you.
Yeah.
Okay. We have here, but some comedians are just stuck in one role. AK says, always hating on the black man. Okay, and also says, it must be our own women hating on us. I don't agree 100% on that one, bro.
I'm guessing this is his first time watching your show.
I think so.
And then
stick around though, because then you'll get to know.
Don't worry, the next topic's going to say something different for you. And then Fitness IQ Cam says, sadly, Tiffany Haddish is one of them.
Yeah, I don't think she's funny either, and I think that he read her right. I'm sorry, I believe he read her right.
Yeah.
And then IPV AD says, AK, move up. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a short little break because we're going to be on for a bit, family. So we need to take a little break so they can refuel their engines. And we're going to be back in about 90 seconds after a little break. So hold tight on Primetime Saturdays with Aisha and LaLa, January 6th, 2024 edition, now live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll be right back.
You know, and that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant black people, they'll be all up, you know, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized black folks.
Like the twerkers and the, you know, just people that, you know, don't always represent the best of us, you know, the diversity, you know, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. You know, helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Boyce. Dr. Alicia, we're back on Primetime Saturday on January 6, 2024. Thank you, everyone who's checking us live on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And LaLa, she goes, LaLa, what you drinking? LOL.
Coffee. And you know what? I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, but I just wanted coffee.
Okay.
Girl, I'm only drinking coffee tonight.
Okay, so this is a whole other conversation topic, but it continues on in all the realm of Black individuals not having control. for a lot of people. The shortest tenure of a president of Harvard. Harvard president Claudine Gay announces resignation amid plagiarism, accusations, congressional testimony. Who wants to start on this one?
They wouldn't go let her do it. They weren't going to let this happen.
Okay, as someone who worked in higher ed, this was very disappointing. My sister also works in higher ed, and the number of Black professors, period, male or female, is small across the country. The number of Black female professors is even smaller. The number of Black women who are college presidents, even smaller than that. And so for this to be the first Black president, first Black female president of Harvard, of an Ivy League on the East Coast, Yale hasn't even had that. And Yale's in my hometown, which is a predominantly Black city. This was deliberate. Now we know it is deliberate because all the stories are coming out, is that the guy who started this really was about trying to abolish DEI from the hiring practices at these elite universities. But even more, when you go down to it, I didn't like the hearing itself because one, they only invited 3 women to sit and answer questions when Cornell had definitive instances of hate crimes towards Jewish students on that campus. But that college president wasn't there. And they're asking the questions. Now, I'm going to say this. Elise Stefanik knew what she was doing. And she asked the question in such a way that it would trip them up. And here's what I mean. Her question was, is it your school's policy if someone does this, says this and this and this? What is your school's policy? And that would create conflict for certain people because it's kind of like, well, the policy is this. I don't necessarily agree with it, but the policy says this. And when you start, and you're in any kind of administration in higher education, when people ask you about the policies, there are certain things that you can and cannot say legally. You can, I promise you, their legal department told her what she could and could not say and how deep she could go into things. And when it comes to the policies, well, the policies aren't that explicit. So yeah, it's not against the policy. She did say it would be on a case-by-case basis, but that's the policy. You can't blame her for the policy that was set before she even got there and didn't need to be revamped until this incident happened. So, I think it's sad because Elise Stefanik also didn't give her a chance to answer the question. No. She was just like, no, just yes or no. When she tried to give context, no, is that a yes or a no? Well, you didn't ask a yes or no question, ma'am. You asked a question that needs context, that needs explaining, and that also allows me to say, now that I see this is a problem, we need to go back and revamp this policy. Now, me personally, I don't feel this way. So I get why she resigned because sometimes it's just not worth it. But Stinky Stefanik and the rest of them got what they wanted. They wanted this Black woman out of the presidency of Harvard because guess what? There's some mediocre white man somewhere who thinks that job is his.
I can't come after that comment. That was absolutely perfect. That because it was so perfect. I just know that when they're out for the witch hunt, they always win. And for her to probably keep her sanity, she probably has better things that are going to be afforded to her by stepping down. I think, honestly, for her own mental clarity, this probably was the best thing for her to do for her own self.
Well, they also tried to call into question her research and say that she plagiarized. The person that said that said it was a big lie. And let me be very clear. When you go to apply for a job at any institution for higher learning, they check everything.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in any kind of administration, because I've gone through that. They go through everything. And it's easy. Let me tell you something. It's easy to see if her work was plagiarized. All you got to do is copy and paste one sentence and put it in Google. How do I know this? Because when I was a professor, I did that with my students' papers all the time, to the point that I had a student who plagiarized one of my own papers and handed it to me. So
no,
she wasn't the brightest light, but it turns out that one of the people who led that charge about the plagiarism, his wife plagiarized her research and that came out. So it's kind of like, oh, you assume that because you all do it and get away with it, that we do it too? No. Understand, this Black woman had to work twice as hard, sacrifice 10 times as much just to get to that point. And I don't like the fact, what I don't like is that they are really stoking discord between Jewish people and Black people on this issue. And I beg the question, because I've seen some people, not all, some people are very upset about the racism that's coming out, but I'm struggling with the people who are out here on some of these social media platforms trying to solve anti-Semitism by using racism.
Yeah. And we've seen that everywhere right now, across the board.
I think for Ms. Gay, if I was in her shoes, I'd just leave Harvard, period.
Well, she's done. She left for good. It was the UPenn professor who resigned as she resigned as president, but is still professor of tenure. I don't think that Claudine is staying.
No.
Well, you think so? She's gone to your knowledge. She's just gone good. She's left.
I think she's gone. Yes, gone.
Wow. So Regina is saying here, Stefanik was playing very disingenuous questions. It was like a cross-examination, ignoring subtleties of policy.
Yeah.
Well, look. Okay, she took that play right out of what's going on up in Washington, because that's exactly what they're doing in Washington. The exact same thing, same format.
Oh yeah, and it's what they're doing. It's what they're doing with their whole impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden too. They wanted to ask. Think about it. These are the same people who wanted to ask Hunter Biden similar questions, where they would ask questions that required context and said yes or no. And he was no fool. He said, we have to do it in front of people. We need witnesses. So
yeah,
they have a plan. Their plan, they want to. I don't understand how they think getting rid of DEI is going to change the demographics of this country. It is not. Already, the majority of children 18 and under in this country are minorities. They are people of color. This ship has long left the station. And so to think that you can erase, you can't go back in time. We don't have a time machine. You can't unbirth all of these people. And realizing this, they realize that their party is shrinking. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so they have to resort to these tactics. They lean on everything. And I'm going to tell you something. The Republican Party motto for almost 2 decades right now is the following: come for the tax breaks, stay for the racism. Period.
That's a good one.
So before we go on to our next conversation topic, two conversation piece I want to ask both of you. What does this say for the environment in universities in the United States?
Well, I mean, it's falling in line exactly with what they want us to do. I mean, if you want to think about it, they want to erase all of our history. That's where they start. Okay. then that goes up to the next ladder of erasing us completely. They don't want us to have anything. If they had their choice, we would be going back to the 1800s. So in their eyes, they're putting us back in our places. This is going to continue this way, and we just need to be strategic about how we're going to play this.
I think that we're going to see record HBCU enrollment in the next 2-3 years.
I hope. But my hope is
because remember,
we get the support for our HBCUs. I'm worried about that, Aisha. I see that. I see your point on that, and I agree with you on that. But our HBCUs are not getting the funding and the support that they need. And I'm hoping that this is a call.
No, they're not. And they haven't been. I mean, even back when I was a student at one, they haven't been. But I will say this, the experience that you get when you don't have to worry about dealing with racism while you're on campus. It allows you to grow in ways that you are not able to grow in the quote unquote real world, and discover things about yourself. And it is one of the most protective environments, I think, for Black students to be in. So I am hoping that this happens. I'm hoping that they get the funding. And let's be very clear, unlike schools like Yale or Harvard, the students from HBCUs are under crushing student loan debt. So being able to donate back to the school, those schools have money because they have endowments and they have donors from their alumni. HBCU alumni aren't making these salaries where they can pay back both their student loans and give back to their school. It's either one or the other.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
That is an issue.
And all of a sudden, Paul is a fan. Now you're talking, Paul says.
Paul, we told you to stick around.
Regina says, this is the proverbial Custer's last stand. They know they're not going to get mowed down, not soon enough. Also, two more comments here. IPV ADDT, thank you for all your comments, all too. They don't want us creating legacies in or outside of our HBCUs. Already our HBCUs are underfunded. If it were up to them, EU would do away with HBUs altogether. I don't know about the EU part, but it would do away with HBCUs. You may want to repost that. And then Cesar coming in large. Here we go. Yes, Claudine Gay fumbled on addressing anti-Jewish sentiments and actions at Harvard, but 1 out of 7 Ivy League schools presidents are Jewish. 2, the attacks versus her are mainly due to the white lash versus EDI/wokeness, rallying white conservatives, white supremacists, and pro-Israeli. I do say, I'm not going to say that because YouTube's very finicky. And then 3, plagiarism is bad, but if she is so to step down due to such others, including Alan Dershowitz, as I inform, half of Congress and the Senate should resign for supporting the insurrection.
Yeah, but she didn't step down due to plagiarism. She stepped down because they found out that factually was incorrect. That she stepped down because honestly, the hassle, I'm telling you something. When you work in a PWI, predominantly white institution of higher learning, and you're a Black person, you think about quitting every day. Every day. The only time I didn't think that way every day was when I worked at a HBCU. When I worked at these other schools, I'm like, I can tell you, I have a number of friends who are Black professors, and we've had these conversations over and over and over again. There's the publisher parish. They're harsher on the Black faculty than they are the white ones who don't have to necessarily publish or can when they want to. Then they want to dump a whole bunch of extracurricular stuff in meetings on your lap because no one else is willing to take those things. And so the weight of the responsibility that you're given a load to carry that your counterparts are not. And then you have to deal with microaggressions of people treating you differently because they think that you don't belong there.
interesting you're mentioning this. This goes back to a conversation I hosted a few months ago with Dr. Alicia Watkins and Dr. Tachi, who are professors in
Yes.
PWIs, and a great conversation. So just a little promo. And actually, I had them on talking about after, oh my gosh, the Supreme Court and knocked down affirmative action. Great conversation, and them giving their insights about being Black women professors at PWIs. Very, very interesting. So IPV ADDT says yes, they would do away with HBCUs.
Well, I'll tell you why they wouldn't. Gotta understand, a lot of these HBCUs are almost 200 years old. They haven't gotten rid of them yet. The time to get rid of them would have been after Reconstruction, but that's when they were founded. They won't get rid of them, a lot of them, because they are land grant institutions, which means they help the state to qualify for more federal funds. So as long as they're designated as land grant institutions, and the majority of them are also historical monuments and have historical markers, they won't get rid of them.
All right. Let's move for our next conversation topic. This topic never seems to go away, and I think it's going to be around for a long time. Epstein documents released with the names of very high-profile people listed. Who's up first?
I didn't get to read the full list. Because it's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot. And some of the names surprised me.
I'm just like, I know everybody was scared the night before. I know a lot of people are just worried. And, well, you know, you are the company that you keep.
Yeah. And it's really hard knowing, you know what this island was all about. You just know what it is. It's very hard for me to not see, I don't know how to say this. You know, there's some of the people, you know, people like to be around people with money, especially people with politics. You know that somebody's going to grease their palm. That we all know that ain't even a lie. Everybody's getting some money for something that they want. So I can't say that all of them were participating in the actions that we know Epstein is for. But if you're in that situation, it's hard for you to say that you wasn't, because it's so well known that that's what's done down there. And you have these women who have come out and told people, downright told names. And these people were saying, no, I never went down there. No, I never went down there. And now you have the receipts for it. It's pretty disgusting. This is one of the most sickest, just foulest things that I have ever seen. And to know that people were hurt the way that they were hurt, and so many people signed on to being around these people, knowing this is what they were also known for. So at some point, you do know what somebody is doing, because there's always going to be whispers behind the scene. Okay. So money or no money, if you choose to be a part of that crowd, then you have every right that everybody's looking at you with a side eye. And some of the names on that list just hurt my feelings, and I was just like, to be
okay. Well, I'm gonna just jump in and give some names. Prince Andrew, former President's 45, and Bill Clinton. Also names of Bruce Willis, Cameron Diaz.
I'll tell you who wasn't on the list.
Kate Blanchett, Kevin Spacey, Naomi Campbell, and Leonardo DiCaprio are also mentioned in the records.
I'll tell you who wasn't on that list.
Tell it, Aisha, tell it.
Barack Obama.
Yes. Everybody was putting out all these false reports saying Barack Obama was in there. They just cannot stand that this man doesn't have any kind of crud on him.
No drama, Obama.
Wow.
Was not on that list.
Well, and Fit and IQ goes, Kuya!
Yeah.
So, and ADT says, did everyone on that list even know the depth of what was going on with Epstein? Good Lord, it's beyond disturbing.
I think they did the same way they knew about Harvey Weinstein and did nothing.
Yes.
The same way they knew about R. Kelly and did nothing.
Yes.
The same way people knew about Bill Cosby. Yes. They knew. But remember,
this
he
is
was
a whole different
very
world.
wealthy and had a lot of clout and knew a lot of people. So
and who do we admire?
They figured
we admire people who have money.
Yeah.
And
they figured it was a small price to pay to get access.
Not thinking that this would come back and bite them in the butt. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure that some of these names that people looked at and said, oh my God, they went down there. Like, come on, Stephen Hawkins. I was like, what are they doing down there? So, I mean, it's just, y'all, it's just too much. It's too much for me. For one, it triggers me. But two, I think it needs to be talked about because there are a lot of things in the underworld that we are secretly told, but then people are like, oh, it's a conspiracy. We're watching a conspiracy talk, secrets of a conspiracy actually turn into truth with this Epstein thing. And so you have to also think what is sickening is this chick, Giselle, she's getting away with it because she got a deal. She got a deal. This lady doesn't need a deal. Okay, she doesn't need a deal. She's just as corrupt because she was his partner in crime doing the same thing. But she got a deal and brokered a deal because she agreed to turn over evidence. Now, I don't think when you're that corrupt and you've done that type of business and that kind of dirt, you get any kind of deal. No, sir, and no, ma'am.
I agree.
Okay. Totally. So IPV ADT says our good brother Barack and sis Michelle all clear. And Cesar's coming in hard. He says, let us be mindful and careful in questioning whether being on a list as Epstein means guilt in conscience of his behaviors or in participation of his activities. Imagine if Hugh Hefner or even Donna 45 pulled out a list of people who visited, associated, and partied with them.
But we're talking about minors here. So honestly, I feel it's the same way I feel about anyone who, after knowing what R. Kelly did to Aaliyah, recorded
continued to keep company and still kept their eyes closed.
You know, just because you're hanging out with them and you're not complicit in the activities, when you know that someone is doing dirt and let's still be clear. Let's be very clear. It is a crime to have any kind of sexual intercourse with a minor when you are an adult. Okay. And so even if that might not be going on and you're not partaking in it, if you're around someone who does that,
keeping your mouth shut is just as guilty.
You got issues. Yeah. So I think Hugh Hefner, I mean, the women that worked for him were of age.
Interesting to see the situation.
Now, was Matt Gaetz on that list? Because that's his steez right there.
It's interesting to see the Epstein story and compare it with the R. Kelly story.
Yeah.
Very interesting dichotomies here.
Yeah. Very, very much so. It's clear as you can't deny that. You know, if anybody ever had any doubt or any kind of argument, this is a clear-cut case.
Yeah, really interesting. Well, I don't think this story is going to end for a long time. There's still lots of legs going on, and I think there's more to come.
Yes.
I just feel that there's definitely more to come.
This is not even the beginning. We haven't even scratched the surface.
No. And they're going to release more too, so stay tuned.
All right, absolutely. Let's see. Just got another comment here popping up. Asking, can I share the article? Well, okay, what I will do is if you're a member of the Discord group, I'll share it in there. But I think already,
I actually have a link to all the documents, so I will share it in the Discord.
There you go. But I think it was posted by one of you two in the Discord group already. I think there's an article, but when you go into the article, if you click in there, it'll show you, like, I think the word list is underlined, and you click on it and it's the whole thing. But I actually have a link that someone sent me that goes directly to the list. So you have to post the article. So I'll post that. All right. Fitness goes Bacchanal. And IPV ADT says there's years of unfolding in that whole debacle.
Yes.
Okay, so you said you checked. We'll get something in there in the next little bit. All right, no problem. Next conversation piece. U.S. Congress complaining about salary in election year is political suicide.
Y'all need to shut up, buckle up. You just got a pay raise in 2022.
But they're claiming that they didn't. They're claiming that they didn't. What I tell you, Aisha, they trying to do the Jedi mind trick. We didn't get no raise. We ain't got no raise since 1960.
That's not true. You got a raise, and here's the problem. The reason why it's not being reflected in your check is because your salary went up. So more is going to come out to the federal government.
Yeah.
Now you know what the rest of us Americans feel like. Paycheck to paycheck and struggle on those things. No.
And one of the major complaints was, well, we have to keep 2 households. You signed on for this job. You knew that when you did it. Now, I will be fair, Aisha, some of the people are saying this on both sides, Democrat and Republican. Shame on you. Shame on you. You don't need another penny. You got people out here who can't even eat. They don't have homes. They don't have shelter. There's no affordable housing. The inflation is off the charts when trying to eat just regular good food. And you complaining about $174,000 a year. I wish.
It's $176,000. Plus, they've got all kinds of fringe benefits and money that they get for postage, for travel, for this, for that, for that. So when you add it up, they're clearing a cool $500,000 in a year for all the money that goes to them. And if you cannot figure out how to live on $176,000, give it to somebody else who can, because I promise you, yes, living in DC is hard, but Silver Spring, Maryland is right there.
Sure is.
Alexandria is right there. Virginia. You don't have to live in DC. There are surrounding areas where you can get an apartment that's a lot less expensive. So let's be very clear. You're choosing to live down there. You're choosing to do that. And if you have a home, if you have a home at home that you're trying to upkeep, then maybe you need to start doing Airbnb with your house or something.
There you go.
But
do like us regular folk.
But
put some coupons. Put in discount codes.
Yeah. And let's not forget that after you serve a certain period of time, you get your health care for free for the rest of your life. You're covered. So stop the BS and stop the whining. And I'm sorry, you don't deserve a raise when you spent the last 2.5 years doing absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I'm mad about it.
Off topic, LaLa, is that a Fenty jumpsuit?
Yes.
I have the same one. That's right.
Okay, so they do have lives outside of politics. Let me just read some of this story from Business Insider. Retiring House Republican says $174,000 isn't enough money for members of Congress. Quote, most of us don't have wealth. So members of Congress make $174,000 a year and haven't gotten a raise in about 15 years. Retiring Representative Patrick McHenry is the latest one to argue that needs to change. He says, quote, most of us live on salary, unquote. He said, most of us don't have wealth. Rank and file members of both House and Senate are paid $174,000 a year. That's probably seems like a decent amount of money, and it is. The median household income in 2022 was $74,580, according to the U.S. Census.
And that's not the average. The median means that's just the midpoint from the lowest to the highest.
You're talking about two people bringing in money.
Now,
the average scales down to about 50.
So I'm going to continue to read this Business Insider article, and you may have some pushback on what's being said here, but consider that members of Congress generally have to maintain 2 residences, one in Washington and one in their home state, and they've not gotten a raise since 2009. Inflation, meanwhile, has eaten away at the value of that salary over time. If lawmakers' salaries had kept pace with inflation, they would be paid over $250,000 a year.
Okay, let me just
go ahead.
Aisha. That particular congressperson is married. So what's your wife's salary being spent on? if she's at the other house and you have to maintain this one, why can't you both just pay, because if you have your two salaries together and if she's making close to you, so say she's making about $100,000, so you all can't live on $274,000 a year.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to add here. Now, the same article says, as of now, many members of Congress are in fact independently wealthy, and many generate significant income from stock trading. Others make money through book sales. McHenry isn't the first one to argue that members of Congress should be paid more. Democratic Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez of New York has long pushed for a pay raise for members of Congress, arguing that it's a safeguard against corruption and makes lawmakers less likely to seek income through stock trading. And Republican, one of the ladies' favorites, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Georgia, has said, complained that, quote, she's lost money since I've got here, unquote.
Girl, you weren't making a whole lot of money before you got there. That's the reason why you took the job. You needed a salary because doing CrossFit videos wasn't working.
So let me just finish reading this. But the idea of raising salaries for members of Congress remains unpopular with the American public. McHenry acknowledged that, telling the Dispatch that, quote, public view is that Congress is not getting much done, unquote. Indeed, by various metrics, this Congress has been one of the most unproductive in decades.
Yes. And we'll put this probably in our Discord too, but I will tell you that I really loved an article about this from Dan Rather. Dan Rather put out a wonderful article.
I love him.
About how we have not gotten anything done. He broke it down. So you're asking for a raise for okay, check it. Let's put it in regular people terms. Don't y'all get job reviews, right? You get a job review, you get a raise. If you're productive and you do what they want you to do, you get a raise. Y'all have not done nada. Either side, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing nothing happening in Washington that I'm happy about. That means both sides got to work together. So no raise for you. So your progress report is an F, and you really should be fired, a lot of you.
Well, here's the thing, though. Your progress report, you get one every 2 years when you have to run for an election. Okay, you get if people like what you've done, you keep your job, because the other alternative is that you could lose your raise and you won't have that salary at all.
Yeah. Well, just to add on here, Regina goes, maybe lawmakers should have been working on reducing inflation nationwide instead of supporting insurrections and Hunter Biden hunts.
Right.
JJ Mars goes, they get fringe benefits for life.
And or better yet, you know what? Blame these daggone corporations that are, are pocketing money. Okay, fine. You know what, dude? You're a Republican. Go get money from the NRA.
And that's where they have
that's where all your colleagues are getting it from.
Right. And then also Regina says, so much for serving your country is becoming profiting off your country.
Exactly.
And
I couldn't have said it better.
And then so Fitness IQ Cam has checked out what's going. Aisha has published that that whole report, Epstein thing in the Discord group, 943 pages. Thank you, Aisha.
You're gonna need more than one cup of coffee.
But the thing is, most of us human beings, do we not get paid on performance?
Exactly.
So if you're not generating any output of value, why should you be asking for more money? As I say, the more I know, the less I understand.
Like I said, I've said this in almost every show that we do. If you want to be rich, go to Congress.
That's right. That's
Serving government. Serving government. All right, let's go to another conversation piece. I think we just got, there we go. Iowa mass shooting, 5th in 5 days of New Year's in America, as NRA president resigns as of a scandal. So the NRA is going through a lot of cray-cray. Wayne LaPierre resigning.
Yeah, because of this court case that they have coming up. And I guess he doesn't want to testify or anything. So if but they could still subpoena him. But this shooting, when it happened, one of the reasons that it was on our radar is because all the Republican presidential candidates were in Iowa. Okay. And then it was something that caught my attention because they were reporting it. But when somebody said, hey, this is the 5th mass shooting, and we're only 5 days in to the new year.
Yes.
That's like a mass shooting every day of the new year so far.
Every day.
Which don't tell me we don't have a problem if this is how we're starting out 2024. And the most insensitive thing anyone has said on this campaign trail was Donald Trump. Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. We just need to get over it. You're telling that mother of that 6th grader to get over it. This man, you can tell this man has never lost anyone that he cares about, because you would never say that to anyone. Parents who've lost their children, it hurts for life. My grandmother lost one of my uncles when he was 3, and it still hurt her when she was in her late 80s.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's a mother's nightmare. It's a mother's nightmare.
And it's like, dude, you don't even love your own children if you can say that, because clearly, you know, he gets over death. He didn't go to his sister's funeral, his brother's funeral. He barely showed up. And then, you know, he's got his ex-wife buried in his golf course.
And is not being taken care of.
Right.
Ouch. LaLa, anything you want to add?
I really didn't want to have to report this to, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a story that I was praying that we didn't have to talk about. I want so bad for us to do something and come to some kind of common sense on this. And unfortunately, we're not going to, because people's priorities are out of whack. And it's all about my rights, my rights, my rights. Well, what about these babies' rights? Okay. I really do not see anything wrong. I'm not against guns. I'm a Kentucky girl, grew up with them. We went hunting, but I'm also not opposed to background checks and training and what you need to do. And even in these cases, since it's such a deadly thing, you need to pass some kind of mental test, if you ask me. I don't see why that's such a hard thing. No one's trying to take away your rights, but there are certain type of guns that you really don't need. Yeah. And AK-47s, there's really no reason. You don't need a bazooka. So why do you need that? Okay. So I'm just sick, and I'm also very disheartened and hurt that this is such a weekly topic that we talk about, because it's happening every day. Yeah. Every day. We had more shootings last year than we had days. So this is a problem, and I don't see it. I just don't see it, because the immediate thing that happens when this happens is everybody comes out talking about, you can't take away my guns. That's the first thing they say. Not, oh my God, we lost babies again. What can we do to help our country heal and get right on this? Such a simple issue, such a simple answer, but yet we can't come to it.
Every time we have this conversation, I say the same thing. You need a license to cut hair. You need a license to sell real estate. You need a license to teach, to drive, to get married. You need a license you got to register to vote. You need a license for just about everything. I don't understand why we cannot agree that in order to have a gun, you need a license.
Yeah. And not just the concealed and carry, because I'm going to tell you right now, the concealed and carry test is really not that big of a deal. If you want to be able to do a conceal and carry, why don't you agree with being licensed regularly? You see, that's a really good point to talk to people about. You have to have a permit to do a conceal and carry. Okay, you don't have a problem with that because many people are doing it, but yet you have a problem with just simple gun ownership.
It just continues on, and obviously there won't be a short-term solution.
No.
Paul, can you please take off all caps? I'm sorry. It's hard to pay attention to you and everything is in all caps and it looks like you're screaming at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think he is screaming at us, Aisha.
But yeah, okay. If you don't mind showing the comment, he's saying banning certain guns is like banning certain beers. Not happening. Dude, it happens. Connecticut, we banned assault rifles after Sandy Hook. And guess where the gun manufacturer that was here that was making them went? They went to South Carolina. South Carolina, the crime is higher in the red states than it is in the blue states.
Yeah.
Just saying. So
I don't understand his question. I'm going to put it up.
How many of us drove a vehicle before we got licenses?
Me, because I drove a tractor. I grew up in the country.
Yeah.
Did you just not hear what I said at all when I told you I'm not against gun ownership?
But Paul, that doesn't mean it's legal. Because if you get caught driving a vehicle before you get your license, in most states, you can't get the license for a while.
So he then asked, so there's none left in that state?
No guns left in that state.
I didn't say there weren't no guns. I said they banned assault rifles. You cannot buy one.
Assault rifles, yeah.
No, you can't buy one here. No.
Okay. Let us move to our last conversation piece for our first episode of 2024. US FDA approves cure for sickle cell disease, the first treatment to use gene editing tool, CRISPR.
I just think this is such great news. Yes. I have a friend that I went to Fisk with, and she didn't tell us at first, so we learned after a while, but she was born with sickle cell. And one of the things that she told us was that they did not think that she was going to live to be 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we celebrated her 22nd birthday, and that's when she told us that. And I'm just so happy for people like her. I had a cousin that passed away right before I was born, who had sickle cell. So yeah, this is good news. Good news.
This gives people a new lease on life. And these are the stories that I love, because you finally feel like something in science is being used for good. Me personally, I also believe that they can do the same thing with cancer. I really do. And I'm praying that this will go in that direction as well. The things that are going on with CRISPR are amazing. And the fact that it is proving to be able to help people with quality of life and to live longer is better. Someone actually said they're looking forward. I read the article in full, and they said they can't wait. And one of the test subjects says, I can now run where I never thought that I could do it. I can do everyday things that people do and take for granted, knowing that I have this. So I'm more than thrilled with this article, and I will be keeping my eye on this very closely. I think more good things will come out of it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where there's such, bad news all the time. It's nice to see something good once in a while, but also too, this couldn't have come at a better time, because my friend was telling me about a year ago that they were pulling back on prescribing narcotic pain meds, which is the only thing that works for people with sickle cell, because they're in such excruciating pain in their joints, and doctors are pulling back on it because of addictions, not of people that with sickle cell, but because other people are being addicted to it. So as a general rule, they're just not prescribing it. So this couldn't come at a better time.
Absolutely. It's very, very true. So, and Regina says, hurrah, had many students with sickle cell. They suffered so much pain. And she says, hope that they can wipe it out. Well, I hope it doesn't take the long road that it has with getting a cure for cancer.
Yeah. And, honestly, I have severe anemia, and I get joint pain. I can only imagine what it's like for them in that state. You know what I mean? It's like, hell, if I'm laid up on a couch for a week, I know someone with sickle cell is like ready to just die.
Yeah.
It's excruciating and unrelenting. So it's nice to know that there are people who are going to get relief. I'm hoping that they roll this out rather quickly. Rather quickly. And honestly, this is one of those things that, remember, this is the FDA under the Biden administration. It is one of those things that we can mark as a win for Black people. Because I know that there are some Black people who are always like, well, what specifically has this government, done for Black people?
For us.
This is specifically for us, because we are 99% of the cases.
Absolutely. All right, that's our last conversation piece for the evening. I just want to come back to a comment that JJ Mars made earlier on, and we were talking about the Congress wanting more money, and they're not being really effective. And JJ Mars says you can throw the CBC, Congressional Black Caucus, into that group also. So there we go. Ladies, it's been too long, but y'all back.
I know, and it feels good.
It feels good. Earlier time, so hope it works. That's working out for everybody. The earlier time, so this is all good. So before we let everyone go and we shut it down, let's do what we really do all the time. LaLa, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on all social media platforms under Living the LaLa Life.
Oh, wow. That makes it real easy. Next up, Aisha K. Staggers.
I am taking a sabbatical from social media. So you can find me on our Discord channel. You can find the Patreon, all of that stuff. And yes, Regina, I will stay safe from the snow. We're expecting a foot here. So
okay. All right. That is absolutely fantastic. And myself, Dr. Vibe, how can you get a hold of me? Website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show. That's THEDR.VIBESHOW. Instagram at the DRVIBESHOW, and also X at DRVIBESHOW. Let's get some few last comments in as we have here. Just scrolling down here. Yes. Regina says, Aisha, stay safe from the snow. Snowing hard here in New York already. Oh, wow. Okay. We're supposed to get some of that in Toronto. I don't think we're going to get that much. And Jen says, great conversation as always. Love the earlier time. Okay. Well, I'm glad you love it. Want to shout out everyone who watches live or on replay, whatever the platform. And Cinnamon Canella says, I think you're saying, I don't know what that means. Nighty night, maybe? I don't know. Whatever that means. So before we close it down, just a few last things. Let's do our roll call. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and also hit the notification button. Also tell other people about our conversation. Like the Dr. Vibe Show again on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Primetime Saturday. I got to correct that. Saturday. Should be Saturday with Aisha and LaLa Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And one of the features we just updated, if you're into it, over 900-page report on Epstein. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host Epic Conversations on, please email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Other things, Primetime Saturday Show Store. There is the link. I've also shared it on everyone who's watching on whatever platform this evening. It's all there. Also, the Patreon channel, get exclusive content. So I think that's it. I think one last thing I've got to put here. I think I already put where you can watch the repeats. If I didn't, my fault. But I'm just checking here real quick. There we go. You can watch replays of Primetime again Saturday. It should be Saturday. It'll be corrected next week. Forgive me. I'm human, still in 2024. At the Dr. Vibe Show at the drvibeshow.com, and also Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, the Dr. Vibe Show. Got some final comments here, so let's get it in quick. Yes, Cinema Canela goes, yes, night, I met, no problem. Fitness IQ Cam says, liking the new time, actually, good. Tiffany D, glad I partnered the show live tonight, good night. Catch the replay if you can. Regina says, yeah, 7 p.m. is better. And also, I'll definitely will have shorter shows to catch them too, because Fitness IQ Cam does shows at 5:30 before us. So she's going to do shorter shows so she can come be part of this. All right. That is it. We done. So as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith while good. And again, thanks to the Fly Nubian Queen family. Thank you for your support. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and walk good.